We are back. Today, it is Sunday. I was trying to think what I wanted to record today. I would have done a showdown live, but I'm a little too tired to just sit down and play the game. I want to talk about a few things. I want to ramble. So we're going to talk about some Pokemon that I think you should be on the lookout for to rise in usage in Regulation H. Now, we did have one tournament that we can look at the results at to get some ideas as to how the metagame's shaping up. And these Pokemon will more or less be picks that I think haven't quite been noticed yet by the wider community of VGC players, and that we can expect to become answers to what we're seeing in the early metagame, or at the very least play well into what's going on. So, if you guys enjoy this, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so thank you for coming back from the Gamer Subsat. I definitely put that right there. And my cat is being annoying. Ronnie, I'm gonna kiss him on the forehead. Ronnie, I need you to leave me alone for like 10 minutes. Okay, so I'll talk to you soon. All right. Okay, so first Pokemon, Talonflame. Why Talonflame? Well, we lost access to Tornadus, and Whimsicott isn't always going to be the, solution to your problems. So, the reason I think Talonflame is one of the better options is because while Whimsicott is like a Tailwind Prankster Pokemon, not every team will want to have like two grass types and like have to run Whimsicott. Truth be told, Whimsicott's like a great Pokemon, but like, man, I just, is as cool of a support option as it is, I've never enjoyed running it. I like a Tailwind Pokemon that can go on the offensive a little bit. I like having Flying Stab on my teams, and with Tornadus gone, Talonflame seems to be the better option. You could make the argument that Murkrow is the better option, but I think Talonflame is going to be a little bit wider in usage, mainly because it does have Gale Wing's Tailwind, which gives you priority, and on top of that, you still have access to Taunt, Will-O-Wisp, and Brave Bird. A set that I've seen run around is Sharpbeak Adamant Talonflame, where they actually don't even invest that much in like bulk or whatever. They just go all in Terra Flying. And this set allows you to go for, Tailwind on turn 1, and then follow up the next turn with Terra Flying Sharpbeak Brave Bird, which is a extremely powerful priority move. Like if we take into account all the multipliers, Sharpbeak's 1.2, Brave Bird is 120. So what is that? 120 times 1.2 times it's a stab with Terra Flying times 2. That's a 288 base power priority move. Yes, it's coming off of 81 attack, but with Adamant Max attack, you are able to fire off quite a bit of a nuke. So yeah. Other options you have, I actually prefer running like a bulkier set. You can run like the Covert Cloak. You can also run Safety Goggles. I think if you have like a Gyarados on your team, the Gyarados wants the Safety Goggles, but Talonflame can run them as well. But Covert Cloak allows you to basically guarantee Tailwind turn 1, or if you don't want to go with the Terra Flying set, you can actually just go Terra Go Safety Goggles, and that's also quite good. And you can run like the exact same set, just you'll move around your EVs a bit. Usually you'll want to go Jolly if you don't want like the extra damage, and then you invest to KO whatever you want to KO with like Brave Bird, and the rest can go into like your bulk, whatever you need to live. It'll make it so the Talonflame's going to be able to take care of all your needs there. Fast Taunt is very good. Will-O-Wisp is quite good into a lot of things. Yeah, I mean, like, Will-O-Wisp is going to be useful in the Annihilate matchup. It's going to be useful into Rillaboom if they want to tear away from their grass type, or if you think that you're not going to KO with Brave Bird, but you prefer to just get the burn. That's pretty decent. Other physically offensive Pokemon that you need to look out for. Baxcalibur, some of them are running Ice Body, some of them are running Thermal Exchange. If it's Thermal Exchange, obviously you can't burn it, but if it is Ice Body, burn is an option there. Good into Gyarados as well, good into Gallade. There's a few Pokemon. I think it's pretty interesting. Like, a lot of the teams were rain teams up at the top of this first tournament, so you don't get a lot of variety as to the physical attackers you're gonna be facing. But yeah. This channel is partnered with GamerSupps. If you want to support my work and get great tasting drinks, you can order GamerSupps through my link in the description down below, or with code Moxie boosted at checkout for 10% off. GamerSupps is a caffeinated product that I recommend only to my 18+ viewers, but my link will send you to their caffeine-free product section just in case. Every product purchased through my link supports my channel financially, so I'd really appreciate the support. Now back to the video. Next Pokemon that I think we should all keep an eye out for. Araquanid. Now, Araquanid has a few attractive traits here, mainly Water Bubble and Wide Guard. Wide Guard's going to be useful because Golden Go is, I think, probably the #1 Pokemon in the format at the moment, but having access to Wide Guard, Liquidation, Substitute or Protect, and Leech Life is actually really, really useful, especially if you run it with like the Mystic Water. This guy is able to soak up a Blood Moon from Earthstone of Blood Moon, as well as underspeed it. So if you run like a, sorry, not quite, like a Brave Nature, you're actually going to be one of the slowest Pokemon in the format. And with Terra Water Liquidation, you're able to one-shot a lot of things, including Pokemon that would normally resist it. Now, the one downside of Araquanid is that if you're facing a team that has like a lot of water resists, it's not going to be doing as much damage as you really want it to. And Leech Life coming off of that, what is it, 70 base attack is pretty unimpressive. But if you opt to run the Araquanid, there's a few roles that it could fill. You know, Wide Guard spam, Trick Room offensive. But I would say that like Araquanid doesn't do the best without Trick Room. I think it probably wants a Farigiraf next to it. You can make the argument for Porygon 2 as well. But I think Farigiraf next to it's extremely useful. It's going to allow you to block Grassy Glide from opposing Rillaboom. And it's just going to be like a pretty solid pick, you know? Now that now that Urshifu Rapid Strike's gone, the economy on offensive... Sorry, my cat just ran across there. The economy on like offensive, physical, attacking water types is it's opened up quite a bit. Speaking of water types, I think we should talk about Gastrodon. Now, Palafin is currently extremely high usage in the format. You see it here, you see it here, you see it here. It didn't win the tournament, but there's a lot of Palafin on ladder. Palafin is an extremely scary Pokemon. Genuinely, I think that as good as Rain is at the beginning of the format, it's going to go on to not be quite as good. And part of that reason could be, I think Gastron will pick up a little bit. This is a slower format. And slower formats tend to have Gastrodon be a lot more reliable with access to like leftovers as well as like, you know, Protect, Yawn, Ice Beam, Earth Power. You're able to do quite a bit. You can even drop like Ice Beam for like Muddy Water if you really want to. But basically Gastrodon's going to be able to absorb the water type attacks with Storm Drain. And it's also sort of a hard wall to Archaladon, which is a very scary Pokemon in the format. You're completely immune to the Archaladon's Electro Shots, and you're going to be able to hit it with a super effective Earth Power on its much weaker special defense stat. So, you know, very solid option. Yawn is also, you know, going to be able to put things to sleep. And if you want an answer to Dondozo, which is another Pokemon that we should expect to see quite a bit in this format, you can drop Yawn for Clear Smog, and that's going to get you just as much... That's going to get you like just as many good matchups into random teams since Dondozo's here and there. You know, you'll be able to remove the... You'll be able to remove the boosts on that Dondozo pretty effectively, and you don't have to worry about Wave Crash. So, next up, Conkeldurr. Conkeldurr is a Pokemon that is going to be good. I think that there's no shot it isn't going to be good, mainly because it is a fighting type with a very high attack stat in a metagame where fighting types don't have that high of an attack stat. Look, so if we organize the fighting types by highest attack, number 1 is Conkeldurr, number 2 is Crabominable, no one's using that, number 3 is Breloom, we might see that, number 4 is Sneasler, which, you know, here and there, and then Gallade, and then it sort of falls off because no one's going to be running Heracross, Mienshao is very situational, and yeah, I would say the number 1 fighting type in the format at the moment is probably Annihilate, just due to Annihilate being Annihilate, you know, it has that one gimmick around it, where Conkeldurr, this is the Thinking Man's fighting type. Throw a Flame Orb on that guy. He's got an Amoonguss Spore immunity. He's got Guts as well. You'll be able to run Drain Punch, Wide Guard, Protect, Knockoff. You can also drop Knockoff for Mach Punch if you really want, and you'd probably want to drop Wide Guard at that point for Knockoff. You know, you want to be able to keep coverage options. But that was a very roundabout way of dropping Wide Guard for Knockoff, or Wide Guard for Mach Punch. But basically, Conkeldurr has very solid bulk, 105 HP, 95 defense, 65 special defense, and that 140 attack stat. There's a few ways you can run it. I like Brave Natured Conkeldurrs quite a bit because you're going to be able to underspeed once again Blood Moon or Saluna. You max out that HP, hit a decent attack bump, probably like right here. You can see 148. I have to explain the attack bump like every other video. So, as you can see, when you run an Adamant Nature, 132 attack gets you to 194 stat. 140 gets you to 195. 148 gets you to 196, but 156 gets you to 198. That's the bump. It's like an extra point you get because of rounding. So with that, you can invest in your special defense, and probably get like odd HP. You can deal with that flame orb stuff a little bit easier. Then go for the yeah, there you go. So Conqueror, it's good. It's bulky. You can tear away into like a fire type to avoid getting burned. Or not avoid getting burned, what am I saying? To avoid getting hit by like fairy types. You can also go poison if you really want to. But then you keep the psychic weakness that you had before. Drain Punch is going to be doing quite a bit of damage off of 140 with the Guts boost. Knockoff is going to be good for removing items like Safety Goggles and Citrus Berries from Pokemon like Incineroar or Amoonguss. And also just removing like AVs for partner offensive Pokemon. Like let's say you're in Trick Room and you're using like, Ursaluna into this like super special defensive Pokemon with an Assault Vest on it. The knockoff will go first. You can go for a Blood Moon. That'll be like a guaranteed KO. Though I suppose, Drain Punch into Blood Moon would do the same. So there are a few situations for knockoff. This is just one of them that I think is pretty notable. Milotic. This Pokemon I expect to be one of the more annoying ones in the format. Leftovers, Terra Grass. You could run the set everyone hates. Coil, Recover, Hypnosis, and Muddy Water. Why is this annoying? Well, Milotic has the ability competitive. Incineroar is probably going to be one of the best Pokemon in the format. Not probably, it's basically guaranteed to be the best Pokemon in the format. But you get +2 every time you get intimidated or any stat drop. Coil is going to allow you to make yourself bulkier. It's going to boost your defense and accuracy by 1. And that makes your Hypnosis a lot more accurate. So, Milotic, a Pokemon with already pretty phenomenal bulk and a decent special attack stat and a pretty good speed stat, will be able to coil up, go for Hypnosis, and spam Muddy Water, dropping everything's accuracy and dealing a lot of damage because it's probably going to be at +2. I don't even want to talk that much about Milotic. It's going to be strong, annoying. You can even run Terra Dragon, to be honest. Terra Dragon's probably a little bit better. You don't have the Amoonguss Spore immunity, but with the lack of fairy types in the format, it's a pretty reliable Terra nowadays. So yeah. Next up is Glimmora. Glimmora is better because Urshifu does not exist. Urshifu was a very annoying Pokemon for Glimmora to deal with. And yeah, you can do like the Sash Toxic Debris set, but I really think that Meteor Beam gets a lot stronger because Meteor Beam, Mental Herb Meteor Beam, there we go. Mental Herb Meteor Beam has never existed in a format without like Urshifu and other like super powerful Pokemon. This is a super low power format, so Spiky Shield, Meteor Beam, what's the other move that it gets? Mortal Spin and like Earth Power. That's becoming an increasingly difficult set to deal with. If you KO the Glimmora, it's basically a trade because most likely you're going to be KOing it with a physical attacker in this format. You're going to KO that Glimmora, Toxic Debris will hit the field, and like if the Glimmora outsped you, then you're also going to be taking a super, super powerful Meteor Beam to the face. This Pokemon's going to be great, especially good on Dondozo comps. Dondozo teams basically need to have Glimmora because it allows them to Toxic Stall with Protect. So yeah. Mimikyu is just a solid support Trick Room Pokemon. Disguise makes it very difficult to deal with on turn 1, especially with the Mental Herb. It's going to make it so you can't prevent Trick Room or Will-O-Wisp. For the final moves, Play Rough's pretty solid. Curse is also a decent option for dealing with Dondozo. Actually, Curse is really good for dealing with Dondozo. This is probably the set. You can also go Jolly. There's not really a reason to run like super slow Mimikyu, in my opinion. You want the fast Will-O-Wisp, you want the fast Play Rough, you want the fast Curse, and you can just Trick Room up. Doesn't really matter. You can Trick Room because you have Mental Herb Disguise. It's a very good Pokemon. Organical. This is a very interesting Pokemon in this format. Terra Water is super solid for it, but I think Terra Fire might be better nowadays. And here's the reason. Garganical is actually a really good answer to Goldengo. Goldengo, of course, being one of the #1 Pokemon in the format. If you run a Leftovers in your Garganical, you run Salt Cure, Protect, Wide Guard, and Recover, and Purifying Salt. You hard wall Goldengo. Now, rock types are weak to steel moves like Make It Rain, but with Wide Guard, you can block Make It Rain all you want, force him to go for that resisted Shadow Ball into you or your partner. With Terra Fire and Purifying Salt, now you just completely wall this Pokemon. It's not going to be hitting you for anything. And you'll be able to support the team, click Salt Cure into the Goldengo, make it take 25% damage at the end of every turn because it's a Steel type. It's very scary. This Pokemon's good into like Goldengo. It's good into maybe you do go Terra Water. Yeah, you do go Terra Water because you don't want to lose to Dondozo. Yeah, so it's good to Dondozo if you have Terra Water. It's good to Golden Go if you have Terra Water. It's just weak into Rillaboom. So if you have like a Rillaboom answer, it'll make it a lot easier to use this Pokemon. But very solid. Excadrill. In a format where Tyranitar exists and Excadrill exists, these two can do some work. Now, Tyranitar was already solid when it had to run Lycanroc next to it, but I think that Excadrill with Clear Amulet is a lot more reliable. Once again, now that Urshifu is gone, you'll be able to spam like Rock Slide, Iron Head. I think Swords Dance is also quite good on it. Swords Dance and High Horsepower. But I think if you're going to do that, you probably drop that for High Horsepower. Like Iron Head's not super needed nowadays since you don't have a lot of fairy types. So this is actually a really solid set. Sorry. You want Protect now. This is actually a really solid set. With Adamant and Max Speed and Sand Rush, you're going to be outspeeding the majority of the Pokemon in the format and dealing a lot of damage. Excadrill's bulk also isn't as bad as it might seem. With 60 and 65 defense and special defense, it seems like it's going to be super frail. And it is relatively frail, but that 110 HP allows you to bulk up this guy just a little bit and make it so you're not going to get one shot by, like, you know, Grassy Glide from like Miracle Seed Rillaboom or something. And the final Pokemon I want to talk about is Meowscarada. Now, Meowscarada was a Pokemon that was good in Regulation A, you know, before we had Paradox or any other, like, legendaries. And that's because it was Meowscarada. Meowscarada has access to a very high, not high attack stat, but like a very high speed stat with a decent attack stat. And the move, Flower Trick. Now, Flower Trick is super, super solid. Obviously, it's going to be critting 100% of the time, and it has no accuracy check, meaning you can ignore, like, evasion mug strategies, which we know are going to exist still. But more than anything, it's going to allow you to beat Pokemon like Dondozo pretty effectively. Flower Trick forces them to have to Terra into, like, Terra Grass to resist it. And when you're running, like, Focus Sash Flower Trick, it makes it so you're going to be pretty consistently going down into Overgrow range, because you're going to be down at 1 HP. So your Flower Trick will have a 50% increase in power. Other sets you can run include like Choice Band with Protean, Flower Trick, U-Turn, Knockoff, and I've seen like Trick. That's also a super solid option. But for my money, I think that yeah, I think you do want to be Terra Grass just to double down on that Flower Trick sometimes. But Terra Ghost is also quite decent to avoid getting, what's it called, flinched. I personally like this. This is my favorite way to run Meowscarada. I like Flower Trick Protect, Knockoff Trick Room with a Focus Sash. Because Meowscarada is so fast and threatening, it forces a lot of Pokemon to want to protect in front of it while a partner deals with it. But this like pressure inherently allows for Meowscarada to set up Trick Room for partner Pokemon. A lot of people wonder, why are you running Trick Room on a fast Pokemon? It's because it works. That Meowscarada doesn't have to stay in the field and use its own Trick Room. It can just set up Trick Room for a partner that'll come in on the next turn, or, you know, the partner next to it. And yeah, it's just like a really solid option. Really like this Pokemon. But those are just a few Pokemon that I think will do solid into the metagame that people just haven't quite picked up yet after the first tournament. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys enjoy, you know, leave a like, subscribe, turn notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.